Some people really feel like, hey, Imam, I backbited someone. Somebody told me my fast broke. So should I continue to fast or should I not? And I've actually had people come to me, young people, like, hey, I fast, but I don't feel anything in my heart, so I just gave up on fasting because it doesn't do anything for me. Right? And this idea is built by having a mindset of chasing a high. What kind of high? Not from cannabis, from spirituality. Because spirituality gives you an elation as well. When you praise Allah and you're really feeling it that day, you feel good, right? And you walk out and you're like, yo, Salah did something good for me. Same thing with Sultan, you know, that one day you did a really awesome fast and you break your thought and you're like, man, alhamdulillah. You reflected about all the poor people in the world, you thanked Allah for everything. They probably even served you food that you didn't like and you said, alhamdulillah, you ate that food. You did a good fast and you're like, you know what? Fasting is good. The next day, you know, so something happens and you get angry, you curse somebody out or whatever, and fasting didn't do that for you. So then the third day, you're like, well, you know what, fasting didn't make a difference. Over time, it'll get to you. Over time, same thing with the salah. It'll get to you and be like, you know what, salah doesn't always give me a spiritual high. So we can't be chasing that spiritual high. What are we here to do on earth? God tells us a purpose for why we're all alive. He doesn't differentiate between anybody when He tells us what that purpose is. I created mankind and jinnkind only so that they worship me. So our primary purpose for breathing here is not to get a nice job, a nice degree, and go to a nice school and, you know what I'm saying, you become an imam or something. No, these are all means to some goal. And the end goal of any means that you acquire in life has to be worship, has to be servitude. You have to remember that you're nothing but a meager slave to a slave master, to God, because He made you. Right? And when you have that mentality, whether you feel good about something or you don't feel good about something, you will do it. That's what servitude means. Servitude does not mean only when you feel good about something you're going to do it. If you feel good, that is a gift from Allah. When your heart trembles when you hear the words of Allah, that is a gift from Allah. It is not something He has to give everybody. If He gives it to you, alhamdulillah. If He doesn't give it to you, also alhamdulillah. What is the definition of alhamdulillah upon every condition? It means every spiritual condition also. But we have to do what we have to do because we're servants here. We don't have a choice in the matter. It stems from a deeply intense spiritual problem of feeling like you have control over your actions and you should be the one in charge of everything that you do. We have to let go of that mentality. Then only can we understand that I'm a human. Some days I'll have good prayers and some days I'll have bad ones. Some days I'll have awesome fasts and some days I'll have bad ones. All of the things that the Prophet ﷺ says pertaining to, like, you know, two women who came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, you know, we've been throwing up, and, like, you know, or people brought them to the Prophet ﷺ. These women threw up, and they threw up in front of Rasulullah ﷺ as well. It was fresh blood and fresh meat. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you know, this is what happens when you backbite and you gossip during your fast. Right? SubhanAllah, some scholars have actually held the opinion that it really invalidates your fast, right? And although that is not the majority opinion, it doesn't break your fast, right? You don't have to do a qada of the fast if you backbite it. But all of these ahadith are meant for us to take as deterrents. Like, don't do these things because the consequences are severe, even if you don't see the consequences. That's why those things are there. They're not there to tell you that if you don't feel this way, if you don't do it according to the book, then your fast doesn't count. Remember, Allah is shakur. What does shakur mean? Can anyone tell me? Shakur. Someone who appreciates. Someone who appreciates not one time, that's shakir. Shakur is someone who appreciates always. Meaning whatever you give Allah, He will be pleased with it. You try to do the best you can, but you have to remember you're a human being, you're not a textbook. Your fast is always not going to be picture perfect. So what can you do? Make sure that you reflect every night. Before you go to bed, you reflect. That is what is in your control. What do you reflect on? You reflect on, today I did this during my fast, I did that, I spoke. Assess your statements, assess your actions, assess everything that you did, and then say, well, tomorrow I'm going to try to do better. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be discouraged because, someone comes and scares you with some hadith that your Ramadan is going to be worth nothing. We're all humans. We're all just doing the best we can. That's all we're required to do. Just make sure you didn't do better than you did yesterday. If you're looking at the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and saying, you know what, that Sahabi prayed with an arrow in his foot and he got it yanked out and he never felt anything because he was in the court of Allah when he was praying, and you compare that to your own salah, are you ever going to feel like praying? Every time you get up on the musalla, you're going to be like, hey, I'm a hypocrite. You're not a hypocrite. Sahaba even were like that. One time the Prophet ﷺ was approached by Hamdullah and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. They had a conversation before they went to him. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu saw Hamdullah. Hamdullah was one of those who was a scribe. Ahadu kuttab al-wahy. He was one of those scribes for the Prophet ﷺ. He used to write down the Quran. The Prophet would read and he would write the Quran. It's a very special job. Very high-ranking job in the government of Rasulullah ﷺ. So he's a very special dude. When Abu Bakr saw him sulking, Abu Bakr asked him, like, bro, what's wrong? He said, Nafaqa Hamdullah. Hamdullah has become a hypocrite. I said, word? What do you mean? You're one of them scribes. How could you think you were a hypocrite? He said, because, when we're with the Prophet ﷺ, يُذَكِّرُنَا بِالْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ فَكَأَنَّا رَأْيَ عَيْنٍ. When we go back, عَافَسْنَا الْأَزْوَاجِ وَالضَّيْعَاتِ. When we're with the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us a nice lecture and we feel like we're looking at heaven and hell. As if it's right in front of us. But when we go back home, we got our wife, our kids, our responsibilities, our jobs. And we forget a lot of it. That's why I feel like I'm a hypocrite. Abu Bakr is like, he's scratching his head. He's like, bro, I kind of feel like that too. You know what I'm saying? Let's both go to the Prophet ﷺ. And when they went there, what did the Prophet ﷺ tell them? Nah, man, you gotta stay like that. What you go hear in the lecture, you have to implement it in the house. Otherwise, why are you there in the lecture? No. That's what some contemporary dude will tell you. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you stayed in this condition that you are in during the course of my lecture 24/7, لَصَافَحَتْكُمُ الْمَلَائِكَ فِي طُرُقِكُمْ وَفِي فُرُشِكُمْ. Then the angels will start coming down and shaking your hands. The angels will be like, bro, you want to come and chill with us in the heavens? Spend a night in the heavens with us tonight. Because you'll be one of them. But he said, Ya Hamdullah, sa'a wa sa'a. Alhamdulillah, there's a time and place for everything. You're going to feel spiritually elated sometimes, and sometimes you're going to feel spiritually down. That's what makes you a human being. That's what makes you not an angel. And guess what? Who's more special? A human or an angel? A human. Because angels are robots. They don't have emotion. They don't have feeling. They just do what they're told. لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They don't disobey Allah in anything that He tells them. They only do what they're told. Because they don't know how to disobey. It's not within their system. But as far as human beings, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Every human being has good and bad. It's our choice to harness the good and dispose and dispense of the bad. So that's why when you have a temptation from shaitan, try your best not to succumb. Try your best not to fall for the mistake. Try your best not to gossip. Don't do it. But if it happens, don't be depressed. Yes, be sad about it. إِذَا سَأَتْكَ حَسَنَتُكَ سَيِّئَتُكَ فَأَنْتَ مُؤْمِنٌ. The Prophet says when your evil deed makes you sad, then you're a believer. But not sad to an extent where you feel like I shouldn't do this anymore. Right? If your intention is that when I go on the road, if I ever, run over a speed bump, or if I ever, cross a stoplight, or if I ever scratch my car when I'm backing out, I'm never going to drive again because I will never know how to drive. Where are you going to ever get? Where are you going to go? That's the same thing with spirituality. If you feel like you're going to hit a spiritual speed bump, don't try to do it. Nobody goes out with the intention that I'm going to drive careless today and I'm going to get my car scratched. If you go in with that mentality, that's a dumb thing to do. So same thing. You're not going to go in life thinking that, hey, I'm going to sin. I'm going to disobey God today. God, you watching? I'm going to disobey. Nobody goes with that mindset. But if it happens, don't let it stop you from making the next move. Don't let it stop you from improving on yourself. You are your biggest competitor. If that's one message you can take back from this entire session, I've done my job. You are your biggest competitor, and you always have to keep trying and never think you've arrived. Never believe that I'm here and this level of spirituality is good enough and it'll take me to the grave perfect. No, even the Prophet ﷺ used to seek forgiveness from Allah 100 times a day. What wrong did he do? Nothing. So it's important for us to understand that I have to keep trying and get better every day without ever thinking I am here, I have arrived, and I'm good. Right, that's the mentality of today, man. They call it self-love, but it's really not self-love. It's fake love, it's self-conceit. Right? Or you love yourself enough to be like, hey, this is how I am, take it or leave it. No. This is how I am. I'm going to try to get better every single day. Feel?